In this, I'm going to show you how we can do multiple linear regression model in R. If you don't know how to do the simple linear regression model in R, you can actually learn that in this particular video, or you look for my previous video on how to do simple linear regression model in R. Okay, first and foremost, we are going to install this package. We are going to use the read Excel package to import our data set into R, and we're going to use this to run the regression model. So first and foremost, as usual, we use the install. Okay, we are going to use this. So when I use this, we are going to run that in R. You're going to run that in R. Then we're going to run that in R. Once you have done that, you are going to also run this code in R. So you click on this and you click on run, and you click on this to activate that particular package. Then now we are going to import the dataset into R. Now, first and foremost, in order to import the dataset into R, you have to find which working directory are you working with. So get working directory. This helps you to know the working directory you're working with. And then after that, now you can see this my working directory. Okay, if you want to change your working directory, you want to set your working directory to a particular working directory. For instance, set working directory. If this is not my working directory and I want to set my working directory to this, I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to set it, then I'm going to run this code. Okay, that will help me to run help me to set my working directory if I'm working on the Windows. If you're working on a Mac computer, you have to be the order forward slash instead of the backward slash. Okay, now I'm done. I will now import the dataset. So let's call my dataset. Let's say CAS4. I'm going to use the read. I can use the read Excel or the read XL. Okay, so I'm going to use that. Dot. Now, this is what I want to use. This is the data set we are going to use for this particular training. So that's car underscore sales 4 dot XLXX. Okay. Now, I'm going to do that. Also, I'm going to run it. I'm going to run either this, or I'm going to run this other one. Rising up in me and doing for me what I cannot do for myself. Is there a certain thing that you do defensively that should be back to trash? So I either make use of this function or I make use of this function. Now this function can be found in this particular package. Now, so we've already installed this package, we've activated it, so we're able to use this to read our file into R. So either way you run this or you run this, you're able to use it to you read that into our studio. So object cast is for the but this is Jim Swagger saying, I'm waiting for your phone call. We've already set this to this. And I know that you will be pleased. Go online to shopjsm.org. Select the Expositor's Study Bible. It's right for you. Millions of Christians live their lives gambling on the goodness and mercy of God. In the book, Eternal Security, evangelist Jimmy Swaggart addresses man's free will and power of choice before and after salvation. Readers will Okay, we can use either of these to import the data set. Now you see my data set has been imported. It has more than 57 observations and 26 variables. If you want to view the data set, you click on that and that will bring up the data set here. Or we can simply run some code to view our data set. Okay, we can decide to view the data set by using the view. Now, using the view to view your data set, this is the name of the dataset. Now, using this view, before we can use this view, we have to install the tidyverse package. So we have to install that package tidyverse. This is the Sunlight Broadcasting. I'm doing my good ride. I'm doing. All right, we are back. We're going to install that. Also, we're going to use once you install this particular package, the next thing is to activate this particular package. So the moment you activate it, then you'll be able to run this package. So the moment I run that, I'll be able to view my data set. Or I could also use this particular. I could use another function. There are different ways to view your data set in R. There are a lot of ways to view it. This is just to show you the head of the data set. Now I want to see the column headings, and that will give you all the columns heading of your data set, and it gives you some part of the data set, so you can see all the columns heading of the data set. Also, we can decide to view our data set by introducing the pipe function and use the add function. Okay, the add function also does the same thing. It gives you the head of your data set, but now the pipe function connects this particular data set, which is the name of our data set. That is the name of our data set. When we import our data set into R, we give it a name called car underscore sales form. So and that gives me the head. There are different ways to also view your data set. We might decide to say we want to use the structure. We want to see the structure of our data set. So then we run that. That gives us the structure of our data set. So we are not really interested in looking data set, view data set. Okay, I'm going to show you a video on that, how to view your data set, how to import your data set in R, and how to view your data set in R. How to import an Excel file in R, and how to view your data set in R. Okay, now we've done that. The next thing we are going to want to estimate this. Now, in order to estimate your log of sales, now I want to estimate I want to see the influence of the sales of car. I want to see if fuel efficiency, the type of vehicle, and engine type have influences on the sales of car. But now we are going to use the log value of sales, because the log values performs better than the ordinary values for sales. So in order to run this regression, we are going to install this particular package known as the Woodbridge. So we are going to install that package known as the Woodbridge. But before that, let's copy this instead of writing the code over and over and over again. Now this Woodbridge is an econometrician. Is an economist. He's an econometrician. He wrote an econometric textbook on regression econometrics. Okay, once you run this particular package, I've already run it, and you run this to activate it. I've already run it. Then you have a lot of functions. So we're going to use this particular function to see this linear regression model, but now we are going to call it multiple linear regression model. Okay, now we are going to call that. Then we are going to use the function That's the function we're going to. You can see the argument of this particular function. The major argument of this particular function we're going to use in this, we're going to use a formula. I'm going to use the data. This is a month I'm really interested in. So we can talk about the formula. The formula I want to use here, we want to talk about the log of sales. Okay, the log of sales, and we come to this. Well, we're going to use that. That's the log of sales, and now I want to talk about fuel efficiency. Fuel efficiency in my data set. The fuel efficiency in my data set is the independent variables I want to use is the vehicle type of vehicle, engine size, and the fuel efficiency that is represented by the MPG variable. So I'm going to use the MPG plus that's for the fuel efficiency vehicle type represented by type plus the engine size let's look at the spellings for engine size. Okay, engine underscore S. Okay, that means we are okay. Now once we are done with this, now the next thing we need to do, we have to include the data set we are using. Our data set is this. This is the name. This is our data set. That is the name of our data set. So now what we're going to do, we're going to run this regression model. What hinders the believer from hearing the things the Holy Spirit has to teach? What is that? Let's run this. Now, that one you can see the intercept. We have the intercept of approximately 2.8. We can see the fuel efficiency. Now, the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car is approximately 0.03. And the type of car, the influence of the type of car on the sales of car is approximately 1.12, and the engine size of car has a negative influence. In other words, the larger the engine size of a car, the smaller the sales of that particular vehicle. So we can see that engine size has an inverse relationship of influence on the sales of car. So now if I want to check for the confidence interval that all the statistics that I have falls between a particular value. Now for instance, if I want to run for just a single regression model, let's assume I'm only interested in looking at the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car. If I'm interested to see the influence of that linear regression model now, a simple linear regression model. If I'm interested in seeing the influence of the sales of car, the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car, I'll just run that simple linear regression model with just only one variable. Now you can see I update my fuel efficiency 0.0, approximately 0.01. That is the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car. So if there is a 1% increase in the efficiency of car, it will lead to about 0.01 increase in the sales of car. Now, but if I want to check the confidence interval, I'm going to use this to check the confidence interval. Now, in order to do that, let's call this confidence interval. But the way that person has been created, exclusively in Christ. and this is 0.95.
Then the Holy Spirit, who is God.
Now we can see the confidence interval. We have this 22.5 and 97.5. Now, in other words, we're saying that we are confident that this value of a slope efficiency, the value that the confidence level of this slope efficiency falls within the slope efficiency falls within this value is between 2.5% and 97.5%. We want to know more about the confidence interval.
He says in the next verse, he says, I keep my body under subjection that I not be a castaway. So he's very aware of what to do, but he's also very aware of what not to do. The Holy Spirit has shown him that. Not only in that's 1 Corinthians chapter 9, but in Colossians, in the book of Colossians chapter 2, he ends chapter 2 saying this.
So, we use that, or we just use this.
And there's still being talked about today. A certain system is what many believers today turn to denying ourselves good things or harming our own body to the point of self-flagellation and whatnot.
Now we have the confidence interval. Now we can see using this now. We can see for 25% and for the intercept, 25%. We are confident that 25%. We are confident that this value of the slope, the value for the slope and this value of the intercept falls within this value. Between this value 2 and approximately 2.1 and approximately 4. So we are 2.5% confident and we are 97.5% confident that it falls within this particular value. So for the slope, which we're confident it falls within that. So if I want to do that for multiple regression model, for the confidence interval, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to copy this.
One of the most popular churches in America, my sister-in-law actually attends. If a believer has a bondage, there's a room for them to go into, to spend time in for a certain amount of time. What will that room have to do with? Well, it's a deliverance ministry for them. It's you spend time in this room and you pray, and when you come out, there's supposed to have been some experience that you had. Paul is fighting all of that. They do that. It's another form of asceticism. And Colossians chapter 2, Paul deals with.
Okay, so that's for the slope, the engine type, and the size of vehicle. We can see the confidence interval. So this is how to compute the confidence interval. But if I'm only interested in just a particular, for instance, MPG.
What doesn't work? It means this: they have no value.
So okay, error in invalid script of type. Okay. Okay, let's see.
You cannot use the flesh to fix the flesh. And you said it right. We don't like to get the ball up your paper, put it in a suitcase, and throw the suitcase in the ocean like some want to do. You can go sit down and do 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups like some like to do. You can go see a counselor. You can go.
It's giving us a slope for the MPG. Now I can see the value. It's the same thing we got at the bottom.
Paul said, I tried it.
So what we got this.
And if anybody had something to boast in, it was me. I was a Pharisee of the Pharisees, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, but it doesn't work. So I had to lose it.
Not test the hypothesis. Test the hypothesis testing to look at the goodness of fit, to look at the significance of slope.
It's not just that he let them go.
And we look at the significance of it. So we use what we call the summary. We use the summary. So that's what we're going to use. I want to run that for this multiple regression model.
The design of wanting to be free, and yet the church insists on their own methodology outside of simple faith in the cross. Part of it is, I think,
you can see that. So let's examine these are the intersects. Now this is a fuel efficiency, the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car. The influence of the type of vehicle on the sales of car is positive, while the influence of engine size on the sales of car is negative. Now, are those influences are the significant? These are the standard error, and these are the T statistics. Now we have this with the three T statistics telling us that it's significant even at zero level of significant level. This also is even significant at zero level significantly. In other words, the influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car is not significant. So we can see that on the sales of car, that is not significant. Okay, the influence of that is not significant because it is above even 10% level of significance. But for the type of vehicle, now we look at the type of car vehicle. You can see this is significant even at 1% level of even at 0% level of significance. In other words, is less than 1%. So the type of vehicle actually affects the sales of vehicles. So the type of vehicle determines the sales of that particular vehicle based on our results. Why here you can see that is 0.07. That is significant at 10% level of significance. Here we don't have any asterisk here because but we have a dot. So we can see when we have a dot here, we can see it is that means 10%. So when we have a dot, that means it is significant at 5%. When you have nothing here, that means it's significant at 1%. So what have a dot here, and that means it's not even significant at 5%, but actually it's significant at 10% significant level. So the engine size also affects the sales of a vehicle. If the larger the engine size, that means the smaller the smaller the engine size, the larger will be the sales of that particular vehicle. So engine size and the type of vehicle based on our results, engine size and the type of vehicle actually affects the sales of vehicles. So why manufacturer and manufacturing vehicle, they should take into consideration the type of vehicle and the engine size. So people look at the type of vehicle they want to buy. People want to buy a Lexus, they want to buy the Jeep, the type of vehicle. Also, not only just the type, they also take into consideration the engine size of that particular vehicle while making this decision. So at the bottom of this we have this. At the bottom of this, we have this, the R regression. Now you can see the influence of the joint influence. Now this tells us of the individual influence of fuel efficiency on the sales of car, the type of car on the sales of car, and the engine size on the sales of car individually. Now I want to see the influence, the joint influence of fuel efficiency, the type of vehicle, and engine size together. We want to see the influence on the sales of vehicle. Now we can see the overall influence is about approximately 13%. So that means the other factors that affect or influence the sales of car are not captured in this model. Only 13% of this variable actually influences the sales of car. So we have about approximately about 97 about 87% factors that influences the sales of car, 87%. So we only have 30%. 30% of the influence on the sales of car is only captured by the engine size, the type of vehicle, and the fuel efficiency. While I just said our statistics telling us it is 11 and not actually 12 after taking into consideration the degree of freedom, it is now 11. So now we look at the F statistics. F statistics is looking at the significance of this. Now this T statistics looks at the individual significance of the intercept, the slope, the type, and the engine size. That's what the T statistics does. Now, when you look at the T statistics using a rule of thumb, a rule of thumb, if your data set is more than 30, you can use a rule of thumb of 2. So at 5%, you can use a rule of thumb at 5% level significant. Now this is above 5%, that means it's significant. That is more than 2 is significant. This is more than 2 is significant. This is more than 2 is significant. So that's using the rule of thumb. But now looking at that C36, which talks about the individual significant level of each variable, while F36 talks about the joint significance, the overall significance of the fuel efficiency, the type of vehicle, and engine type. Their significance on the sales of vehicle. Now you can see we have that approximately 7.7, and we have the 3 and 153 degree of freedom, and we have the p-value, which tells us that jointly all this all those slope parameters have influence on the sales of car jointly. That's the fuel efficiency, the type of vehicle, and engine size. All those together have influence on the sales of car. However, for policy purpose, we only focused on the engine type. We're looking at the engine type for policy purpose. We'll look at the engine type for policy purpose, and we'll look at the engine. We look at the engine. We look at the type of vehicle and the engine size for policy purpose. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Instagram channel, and our TikTok channel. Give us a thumb up if you like this video.